Hello, my name is Tobin, and I'm the CEO of Modelshop. Modelshop is a platform that allows financial services organizations to create analytic applications that automate much of the analysis typically done in spreadsheets. So my customers have asked me about artificial intelligence and its role in financial services. While I think there's been lots of claims in this area, I still think we're about a decade off for true artificial intelligence. Sure, we've been doing machine learning, predictive analytics for decades now. The ability to look at historic data, fit equations to project future performance is really a mainstay for both banks and insurance companies. But that's not the same as intelligence. To me, intelligence is the ability to create creative strategies and solutions that optimize a business based on the sum of your past experience. At least for the foreseeable future, that is going to be an area managed by human intelligence. And while we're not replacing humans by machines anytime soon, there's a lot we can still be doing to increase the productivity of human intelligence through analytic automation. So let's start by looking at how human intelligence is leveraged today in financial services. First, you start with your production systems. These are typically automated environments that interact with your customers and your markets, often making decisions millions of times a day that impact the bottom line of your business. Now let's say one of your analysts, one of your intelligent humans, needs to optimize this system. So for example, we have a lending portfolio, and we understand there are macroeconomic changes that might impact the performance of that portfolio. There's a process involved in extracting data out of the system, creating models, creating predictive analytics, but then developing strategies on how to improve the bottom line for the business. And it's not easy to do today. And here's the problem. It starts with getting data out of the system. So you have this perfectly automated environment, and in order for an analyst to understand what's happening with the data, they typically have to pull it into, you guessed it, spreadsheets. Unfortunately, spreadsheets don't speak the same language as production systems. There's different cardinality in the data, there's different levels of complexity. So most analysts spend about 50 to 60% of their time extracting data, flattening it, denormalizing it, and doing data quality to make sure that it's in a form that they can use it for their analysis. And then once the analysis starts, often a lot of the logic that exists in the production system has to be recreated in the analysis tool, whether it's a spreadsheet, R, Python, so that you can emulate the overall performance of projected instruments in your production system. So for example, charts of accounts, mapping of asset classes. Often that has to be managed in both places in order to be able to emulate the performance of your production system. Not only is that expensive, it incurs a significant amount of risk if some of those assumptions are computed incorrectly. And then finally, once your analysis is done and your analyst has a strategy that's going to improve your bottom line, they somehow have to get that redeployed into a production system so it can impact your customers, your markets, your portfolio. And in today's technology, that often involves recoding with development staff. That is typically a tremendously expensive and time-consuming process. So many analysts have to create business requirements documents, submit it to a development team where the development team specs out, builds new software, or adjusts their existing software, and then redeploys it back into production. This whole cycle is really the opposite of agility. And it really disconnects your analysts from your mission-critical production systems. So how does Modelshop help accelerate this process? Think of Modelshop as an analytic environment that directly understands the production data coming out of your applications. So unlike spreadsheets or other analytic tools, Modelshop has been built from the ground up to interpret and understand multidimensional data hierarchies. So what this means is you eliminate a data transformation layer. This is absolutely critical, not only in terms of time and cost, but in terms of your business analyst working with the same view on your data that your production people are used to working with. We add to that a very powerful environment where analysts who are familiar with grids of data can work very quickly with these underlying data models. And they have an execution in language that is much more powerful than the traditional functional language in spreadsheets. So a truly formed, business-based analytic language that can perform queries, can do roll-ups, and can employ statistical analysis right inside the tool. Next, we bring the quants into the picture. So typically your quants are using tools like R and Python, and they want to continue to use those tools, which is great. But with Modelshop, we have the ability to connect data connectors directly into these environments and make it look like a native part of that tool. So with that, your quants can start working on data that has come directly out of production, also without transformation. Plus, they can add the variables and analysis and projections that are being done by your business analysts. So the teams are now working much more closely together through an open set of APIs in an online system. Next, once the analysis is done, it's been validated, projections have been run, and you're ready to deploy business logic, you bring the IT teams in. And now, again, they're talking the same language. So IT organization is responsible for intelligent progression of these new models back out into a production system. But unlike before, they can do that without having to recode all the logic. Instead, they would go through a typical DevOps type process. They would validate, run simulations, run regression and back testing. And when they're ready, they propagate the models back out into production as APIs. This dramatically reduces the overall life cycle of extracting data, creating analytics, and redeploying those analytics back into production. But more importantly, it significantly reduces the risk and increases the visibility of this entire process. So over time, organizations that have employed an analytic automation tool such as this can begin to further optimize the entire process. With the visibility that they gain from this cycle, they have the ability to analyze, fine-tune, and increase overall performance of the business over time. So early in the conversation, we talked about artificial intelligence and its role in financial services. I still believe that it's a number of years before all of this will be automated through a set of intelligent goals. But this is really the first step. Through automation, through connecting all of the human intelligence across your organization into a common tool, you've really taken the first step towards continual improvement of your business environment through analytics.